And the next thing we know, we are excited to have a beef bacon plant come into the community.
We'll learn how a plant that once made desserts will now produce bacon, and not just any kind. Learn how the beef industry is working to add value for cattle producers. We'll also see what's in store at Gateway Farm Expo.
Born and raised on the farm that we own now.
Plus, 4 generations come together on a family farm with a 90-year age gap, where a pair of 92-year-olds remain a critical part of harvest. You won't want to miss it as we grow. A plant that once produced pies now brings home the bacon, but without the squeal and more of a moo, targeting a unique market. NTV's Gary Robinson has the story from Eustis.
From tasty treats to smoky meats, Copperstone Foods plans to produce bacon without the pig, and they're going to do it in what was the village pie maker in Eustis.
Eustis is a really unique community from the standpoint they have a history going over 100 years of food entrepreneurs and just any type of entrepreneurs there.
We're estimating 18 jobs to Eustis, and that'll be anything from production workers to maintenance workers to clerical and accounting to management, quality control, the full spectrum.
18 jobs may seem minimal, but that's a lot in a town of 397 people. And halal's demand is growing.
Particularly the halal market is an underserved market in the U.S. The halal market has been growing at a clip of 11% annually, and certainly looks to do that and probably even grow more than that in the next 10 to 20 years.
Not only will this positively affect communities who don't eat pork with opportunities to enjoy a beef alternative, but also a win for cattle producers and the people of Eustis.
Anytime you can add value to an undervalued wholesale cut of beef, I think that's a win for everybody. The short plate is the wholesale cut that we will be using to make this halal bacon. That is a cut that basically runs right from below the rib down toward the navel, and that would certainly not be one of your higher value cuts. A lot of times it's ground, certainly adding value to a lesser valued cut.
I also asked Siegfried how much tax revenue will this bring in, and he told me he doesn't know, but believes it will be significant. The Eustis facility plans to process up to 30,000 pounds of beef bacon per day and hire about 18 full-time employees. The Eustis plant will begin production next summer. For NTV News, I'm Gary Robinson, Jr.
And making bacon without the pig creates opportunities for cattle producers. The plant opening in Eustis is the latest to expand local meat processing. There was a push prior to COVID, then pandemic-related bottlenecks in the industry really accelerated the push to create local processing. We've seen small locker plants expand in communities like York and Ord, plus the large new sustainable beef plant in North Platte. Dawson Power has been working on the Eustis project, backed by a $15 million USDA grant.
With this funding that we originally received from $15 million from USDA, there are a couple other projects we're working on. One happens to be up in the Valentine area. It's a small little snack food company, and we're working on another project we don't have anything to announce yet, but we're excited about the potential on that project too. That could even be bigger than some of these other two. So.
Dawson is using the first $5 million to support Copperstone Foods in Eustis. What makes this project unique is that they're going to take frozen beef short plates that normally would be ground into hamburger and turn it into a premium product. The Nebraska Beef Council says it's a way to add value to cattle producers. Here's more.
Yeah, there is. It's one of the strengths that the beef industry has always had, is that if there is a market for it, we'll find a product, and we'll find a way to provide it for them. So, like in this case, you're taking a product that generally would have, probably lower value going into maybe a grind product and adding value to it by creating beef bacon. And so we've seen that happen over the years in the industry, and it's great to have innovative people that are looking at ways to fill that market need.
You said it, but I mean, we've been pretty innovative as an industry. And when you can take something that's probably a lower value cut and kind of make it more of a premium product, does that have returns then for the producer ultimately?
Yeah, it really does. I think back, one of the shining stars in the beef industry is maybe that flat iron steak. And you think about that product where typically, again, it came from the chuck. It wasn't something that really saw a whole lot of value outside of a ground product, and yet we found a way to extract that. We found that it was a great eating experience, and that led to a higher dollar out of the carcass just from that one cut. So again, we've got a lot of great people in the industry that are looking for ways that they can add value to that carcass all the time.
Another way we do that all the time is through exports. There's a lot of cuts that, frankly, the American consumer does not necessarily put at the top of their list, but that's been pretty successful too, hasn't it?
It really has been. I think a lot of producers don't fully realize the value of some of those cuts because we don't consume them here. And, think about things like tongue and heart and liver. Those are getting great prices overseas. And if we did not have that, of course, those dollars then come out of the price of the carcass for the producer. So finding that right market, finding the consumer base that wants those products and is willing to pay for them really pays back dividends for us within the industry.
A Nebraska congressman working to get renewable fuels in airplanes. Representative Mike Flood, part of the group introducing the Farm to Fly Act. It would identify standards for sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, and make it easier for collaboration throughout the Department of Agriculture when it comes to biofuels like this. This, as Reuters reports, Shell is looking to scale up sustainable aviation fuel as lawmakers design tax credits. The Biden administration issued a challenge in 2021 for industry to supply at least 3 billion gallons of SAF annually by 2030. And along these lines, a biofuels trade group is rebranding. Growth Energy has a new look to reflect the innovations in the biofuels industry. Growth Energy says they're trying to highlight the science of biofuel production and show they're cultivating plant-based solutions on the ground and in the air. Whether that's carbon capture pipelines, high-protein animal feed, and sustainable aviation fuel, biofuels is involved in innovation, so they're evolving from the leaves shown on Growth Energy's former logo. Husker faculty members promote resilience to women owning farmland. There's a $6 million project that will now be involving UNL faculty focusing on Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. It's part of NOAA's Climate Adaptation Network. The idea is that all parties involved are both learners and teachers at the same time. And the state has grant money available for resilient food systems. The Nebraska Department of Agriculture is working with the USDA to award $2.5 million. It can be used for equipment and infrastructure, and Director Sherry Vinton says they're looking for ways to create a stronger food supply chain. The grant process opens in December, and they'll be holding an informational event in Kearney soon. Bankers, farmers, engineers, all gathering together to learn how to spread the message of agriculture. Nebraska leads 42nd class meeting at the University of Nebraska Kearney this past week. It's a 2-year commitment with travel across the state, country, and beyond. But many say LEAD graduates inspired them to apply.
Seeing the differences in the way they operate, the way they do things, the people that came out of LEAD just did things differently, thought about things differently, and it just sparked that want to go and be involved in that program.
I've gotten a lot of opportunities in my life, and I feel like LEAD is a good opportunity for me to get the tools to give back to those coming behind me.
Applications for LEAD 43 are now being accepted. For more, head to lead.unl.edu. You'll want to stay with us as we get on the combine with not one, but 2 92-year-olds, still very much active day to day during harvest. Coming up next, previewing Gateway Farm Expo.
We believe in the power of community, so we want to hear from you. Chime in with your photos, videos, and news tips at nebraska.tv.
Welcome back. And it's the longest running farm show in the state. The 54th annual Gateway Farm Expo set to kick off next week on November 15th and 16th at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney. Joining me now is Corey, the show chair. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good morning, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this has been going on quite a while now.
Yeah, this is our 54th show, as you said. Began in 1969, and it's just continued to grow through the years.
Yeah, what's coming up next, or this year?
This year we added something new. We have some social media influencers, some local people coming from the area. The Korean corn farmer out of Elm Creek, Nebraska, Noah Hubbard, Hubbard Farms, and another Noah Young from Kennesaw with Shiloh Farms, Natalie Kavorik, the Kavorik Ranch somewhere in the middle of Nebraska. Then we have Jenna Oshner out of Sutton with Double O Farms coming in. That's just something that's kind of new. A lot of it's on TikTok, social media, Facebook, little short videos, snippets of what's going on in their operations. And they have a lot of fun when they're doing these videos if you check them out. So they'll be out there. You can come out to the show and see them. The show runs Wednesday the 15th and Thursday the 16th from 9 to 5 p.m. And so we'll have a variety of speakers there. We have one speaker on Wednesday for the Caffeine for the Soul, and then followed with navigation, grain, and livestock marketing utilizing livestock risk protection. So that's what's going on Wednesday. We also have our Farmers Ranchers Barbecue both days. That's put on by a lot of our volunteers, our banks, and different agriculture entities sponsor the event. We do have a lot of volunteers from the Chamber of Commerce, and the Colonels and Envoys do a great job of supporting us. We make 2,000 to 4,000 sandwiches over those 2 days, and we couldn't do it without all of our volunteers. As you know, Gateway is a volunteer organization. We only have our one paid staff member, our outstanding show coordinator, Sam Smith. She's done a great job for us, and actually we've sold more booths than we sold last year, so it's going to be a great show this year, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, quite a draw, too. Thousands of people come, right?
Yeah, we get coverage from the south end of South Dakota all the way down to northern Kansas and all of central Nebraska.
Holding up the show flyer we've got here, free to the public, all of these events, and it sounds like you've got a lot of great topics that are important to producers.
Yeah, on Thursday we have farming technologies. They're at 9:30. They're going to be speaking about in-field connectivity and leveraging private and cellular networks. That's become a big thing recently, right? Through COVID, as we've seen our broadband enhanced greatly through our communities and our rural areas. There's also going to be a commodity market update, and then again we'll have the barbecue again on Thursday.
All right, come on out. Anything anyone needs to know to come out?
I'd also like to thank Scott Sweet and Teresa and Sweet Enterprises for allowing us to use their golf carts to distribute our meals. We provide meals right out to the vendors' booths, so hopefully Steve gets out there, Steve Light, and we'll take care of him.
Yeah.
And the McCook Farm and Ranch Expo is now days away, November 17th and 18th at the Red Willow County Fairgrounds. They're expecting 350 vendors from 20 states. They've got a free producer's breakfast, horse training demonstrations, an FFA benefit auction, plus panel discussions with ag leaders. All of that in addition to the vendors that you can check out at the show going on in McCook. And our Grow weather outlook is next.
Download the NTV News app now. Instant alerts the second news breaks. Watch NTV News anywhere. Download the NTV News app now.
Well, the latest drought monitor that was released earlier this past week on Thursday. Still got some pretty dry conditions across most of Kansas and a good portion of Nebraska as well. In the grand scheme of things, it looks fairly similar to last week's drought monitor report. A closer look at the state of Kansas, well, most of these categories the same as last week. 15.5% of the state in no drought, roughly southern and western parts of the state, otherwise abnormally dry. Sits at 84.5% of the state. Moderate drought, roughly 63.5%. Severe drought still stands at roughly 39.5%. Extreme drought, still got a couple of pockets of that across the state of Kansas, 7.5% of the state there. And extreme drought, otherwise, no exceptional drought across the state of Kansas. A very good thing to see there. Moving up north to the state of Nebraska now, we're once again pretty similar categories in terms of percentages from the week prior. No drought, actually a slight improvement in the no drought and abnormally dry categories. Both of those a 0.5% improvement, 60.25% now in the no drought or drought-free category, which is much of northern, southwestern, and western parts of the state, including the Panhandle. Abnormally dry, roughly 39.75%. Moderate drought, it's kind of went the other way, about 1% or so, a deterioration rather. 25.5% of the state now in moderate drought. Severe drought, roughly 20.5%. Extreme drought still in about 11% of the state. And of course, still got some pockets of exceptional drought there across parts of east central Nebraska. 4.65% of the state still in that. Now looking at temperatures for the rest of the month here, still indicating slightly above average temperatures for a good portion of, say, Kansas as well as most of Nebraska. Maybe some extreme portions of northeast Kansas and the eastern part of Nebraska, expecting those average temperatures for the rest of the month. And looking at precipitation totals too, pretty average precipitation totals for really all of the state of Kansas as well as the state of Nebraska. Now moving on to the next 3 months, we're expecting these temperatures to be a little bit above average for a good portion of eastern Kansas, mostly northeastern Kansas that is, and a good portion of Nebraska also, and slightly above average temperatures for the next 3 months. Otherwise, average temperatures expected for the rest of Kansas as well as the rest of Nebraska. Looking at precipitation totals for the next 3 months too, slightly above average precipitation totals, which is a good thing to see this time of year for a good portion of the state of Kansas. Otherwise, we'll take average totals for the rest of us across Kansas as well as pretty much all of Nebraska. Your Grow Almanac here for the week ahead. Normally we see a high right around 51 this time of year, and normally we'll see a low around 28. Week ahead, average high, a little bit warmer than our normal high. In fact, quite a bit warmer. 66 is the average high, and the average low for the next week, right about 39. And looking at temperatures, you'll see why that average is so high. Starting off with pretty warm temperatures this time of year. 60s for us both Monday and Tuesday. Might see some 70s work their way into the picture both Wednesday and Thursday, although we are tracking a potential system towards the end of the week. Those temperatures on Friday might be a little cooler, might be a little tricky to nail down at this point in time. Maybe a couple rain chances towards the end of the week, although they don't look all that great right now. But with all that warm weather out there, of course, some of those flowers still in bloom. Flowers in bloom late in autumn indicate a bad winter. Well, hopefully the winter won't be as bad as we think it may be. Well, that is a look at your Grow Weather Report for this week. Stay tuned next week when once again it'll be time to grow.
Here's to the farmers. 92 years young, still going strong. We'll head to Cozad when Grow returns.
Ag Innovations is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
He's walked these wind-swept plains alongside horses. Now John Deere supplies the horsepower, and Craig Worrell makes it go.
GPS, I don't have to steer. It's just amazing.
He downplays his role, but he's been a part of harvests on this same ground since the 40s.
I was pretty young. We used to drive tractors, horses. Got had a couple of years I was in the service, so I wasn't home then, but I don't think I missed the harvest since I got out in 54.
70 harvests later, another year comes to a close. And at 92, Craig wouldn't miss it.
Have a reason to get up every morning, you know, move and do something.
There's a 90-year difference between my grandpa and my youngest kid, so it's pretty crazy.
Grandson Evan drives the grain cart until 5 when Craig calls it a day. Craig's sons Jeff and Dennis do much of the farming.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
And that includes the gals, as a silver sedan means Grandma Betty's bringing burgers.
My grandma bringing us lunch every day for harvest.
Part-time bookkeeper and lunch lady.
And what does the crew get for lunch?
Hamburgers and cookies. That's what they want. So that's what I grill them a hamburger and bake them cookies.
For more than 70 years, Craig and Betty have been partners in all they do.
She's my rock.
Yeah.
No, we get along good.
We've been married for 73 years.
73 years, and you are just a few days older than him, I understand.
I'm 22 days older than he.
She bosses me for 22 days. It's unbearable around my house.
They met in college and made a life with their 4 kids, some of whom are now retired. But Craig keeps on going.
Very blessed to have stuck together and 4 great kids. Just like every farmer, you've had bad years, tough years, had hail and whatever, breakdowns. Always have unexpected things. Yeah. That's life.
And he hopes they'll have him back.
As long as I don't foul up too bad in here.
And harvest now reaches the end, at least for this year. But Craig already looking forward to getting on the combine next time around. Here's to the farmers. 92 years young, still going strong. We'll head to Cozad when Grow returns. Craig Whirl, not the only 92-year-old farmer still doing his thing in our area. These are pictures of 92-year-old Don Griebel and his family in Comstock, fresh off finishing his 72nd harvest. Congrats to all the farmers out there, especially the ones doing it as long or even as close to the same length as both Craig and Don. I tell you what, I had a blast on the farm with Craig. He is incredibly sharp, gets up and down that combine with ease, and I think he's probably still got a few good years in him still to come. Well, thanks for being with us. We'll see you again here next time as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.
NTV's GROW is brought